this is Zach from Watches on You, and today we are at JB Hudson Jewelers, and we are taking a look at a very special Rolex. This is a Rolex reference 1680 Submariner from 1978 with a beautiful ghost bezel. Now this particular one is all original crystal, original dial, original bracelet, original lume, tritium lume. So now we're going to take this down to the pad, and I'll get you a closer look at this watch. Here's the watch closer up. So now I'm going to go over the case of this watch. The case of this watch is exactly the same as the modern day version, which is 40 millimeters. So the case on this is stainless steel, as all Submariners have been stainless steel. It basically keeps the same Submariner look as the modern one. The modern one has a bit thicker lugs and stuff like that, but basically keeps the same general look to it. Dial pretty much exactly the same look, but actually the main difference on this watch's case is going to be the ghost bezel. So actually what happens with the ghost bezel, the reason it's that color is because on some of the Rolex Submariners in 1680s, this year the 78s, their bezels over time patinaed into this very cool kind of, it's a gray color, and that's why it's called ghost, just because I don't know, because it looks like as on a car. Some cars have ghosted racing stripes where you can't see them that much, but you can see them. That's kind of the reason they call this the ghost, is because you can see the numbers going around the bezel are kind of ghosted and look like they're ghosted into the bezel. But yeah, looks very, very nice. The case, Submariner case, is really a classic. You can't really get much better than that for a sports watch. Really, it's a complete classic. It's recognizable anywhere, and this looks absolutely fantastic. Now, on this particular model here at JB, you can see for this thing's age, it actually is in very good condition as well. The bracelet looks very, very good, and this watch is all original. I don't believe it has been polished. It is basically, it is fully as you would find it in the market, in the store at that time period in 1978. So yeah, the case, very good condition. There is scratching, but this is still very minimal for when you're looking at how old this watch is. Sorry. So now going to the dial. So one interesting fact about this watch is that the 1680 started in 73, and it was actually the very first Rolex to be offered with a date function. Sorry, not the very first Rolex, the very first Rolex Submariner to be offered with a date function. Before this, all of them were no dates, and at 3 o'clock you would have just found another rectangular indice. But now, actually, speaking of the indices, these indices on this watch are tritium lume. So, I mean, nowadays you're not really going to have any aluminum just because the tritium is decayed, because it's actually a radioactive material and does not need light from the sun like modern day superluminova does. But because it is tritium, it gets a very nice patina, very even patina, I would say, too. All the indices basically are the exact same color, which gives it a very, very good look. Yeah, I really like tritium. I think it provides, especially on vintage watches, I think it really provides a very cool patina. So the dial, though, besides that, one more interesting fact about the 1680, just the general reference, there are actually 7 different dial combinations for this watch. Well, not combinations, but 7 different dials that were made for this watch, but for different years. There was a red, like where the Submariner would say red. It was a red subdial, and there's some other dials as well available for this. But yeah, the hands are the classic Rolex hands. You get the Mercedes hour hand. Now on this one, which actually I think looks kind of cool and kind of shows you the vintage, is on the minute hand you can actually see some of the lume is kind of decayed out of there. So actually you can kind of see through it almost. And actually I think that really gives it a kind of cool aspect to it, a good thing to talk about. Even being a vintage watch, this watch for sure would have a story. And as people say, the fact that they left the scratches on there and did not polish it is very good, because if you polish a vintage watch, let alone a Rolex, that destroys the value of it, because vintage collectors really like to say every scratch tells a story. So basically every scratch means something to the watch, and that shouldn't be taken away. So now I'll do a wrist shot of this watch. So now, or actually I'll just go over the bracelet quick before, as I'm putting it on. So the bracelet is your standard Rolex Submariner, solid link, folded end link, but yeah, very good. You got your standard Rolex buckle before. This is the pre-ceramic, basically the same as any other pre-ceramic Submariner's bracelet. Besides, some had folded links, but besides that, it was basically just the normal Submariner bracelet. So it looks very, very good on the wrist. I really like the 38mm size. That fits my wrist perfectly, and I think that would fit most wrists perfectly, not being too big or too small. Yeah, I really love the look of it. I think it's the perfect size. Bracelet is very comfortable. Yeah, and I really like also how this watch, if you're wearing this in public, it kind of flies below the radar too. Like, I mean, being a ghost sub, it's not flashy like the modern day ones. I really think you could wear this around with not too many people noticing it, and I really like those pieces. And I think this is for sure one of those pieces where no one's really going to mention it to you, but then there will be the few people that really know watches and will very much appreciate the kind of story behind this watch and the vintage aspect to it, and I really like that about it. So yeah, very, very comfortable. I'd say just as comfortable as any other Rolex Submariner that I've tried on. Very, very comfortable. I really like it. Yeah, great piece. So this is being retailed here at JB Hudson for $10,900. Now, I think that's a very good deal, as these watches are pretty rare, especially all original, with no refinishings. Typically, if you were to send it into Rolex, they would generally replace the bezel, maybe relume it, probably polish the case. So yeah, this one has not been sent to Rolex. It is all original, so that's what's really good. And the crystal, actually I forgot to mention that, is the original box crystal, so it pops off a lot, which is really cool, and it's actually in very good condition aside for there's one chip right there, but other than that, it's in very, very good condition. And yeah, so overall this watch is, I really, really like this watch. I love vintage Rolex. I think they have really good stories behind all of them. And for $10,900, you're actually getting a lot of value for this price, for this purchase. I think it is definitely worth the premium over the brand new subs, just because you get that added story and that added very cool aspect to it. So remember to subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos. Thank you for watching.